Hello, this video is a group project for Higher Education 528, Philosophy of Education. Listed here are the beta group members, and we are evaluating the book Walden 2, written by B.F. Skinner. B.F. Skinner was born in Pennsylvania. He wrote a lot of poetry during college and was encouraged by Robert Frost to continue to write more. He studied psychology at Harvard Graduate School, and he was very diligent, but he neglected a social life. His experience led to discover operant conditioning. He worked as a professor of psychology at the University of Minnesota, Indiana University, and Harvard. Skinner is sometimes called the high priest of behaviorism, or referred to as one of the most important 20th century psychologists. His views are based on laboratory research. He is seen by some to be the sterile scientist in the laboratory, dealing only with facts and observable behaviors. But he is also seen to be the utopian dreamer whose Walden-like schemes may be viewed as romantic notions. Skinner believed that the environment helps shape one's behavior and that free will does not exist. He also believed in a system of positive and negative reinforcements that control and predict behavior. Skinner wrote many things, but we notice three in particular: the behavior of organisms and experimental analysis. He wrote it in 1938, and it was used to launch his career and reputation as a researcher. Later, in 1945, he wrote Walden 2. This book portrays a community based on behavioral technology. And then still later, he wrote Beyond Freedom and Dignity in the 1970s. Here, Skinner claims that freedom may be socially harmful. Behaviorism includes observable behaviors and a system of rewards and punishments for particular behaviors. In order to control one's behavior, the environment has to be controlled. Researchers look not just at any behavior change, but only the desired behavior changes. Behaviorists do not look at cognitive processes, merely the observable behavioral changes. Behavior is thought to be good is positively reinforced, and behavior that is thought to be bad is negatively reinforced. Skinner theorized that positive reinforcement is more beneficial than negative reinforcement because the subject makes more of a connection to rewards and the particular behavior than there is a bad behavior and punishment. To avoid punishment, the subject may try another behavior, but if a connection is made between reward and good behavior, the individual is more likely to repeat that behavior. Contingencies of rewards are the conditions in which behavior occurs. These contingencies are often difficult to discern. Skinner believed as we better understand the relationship between behavior and environment, we will discover new ways of controlling behavior. Skinner was the inventor of teaching machines, and he believed them to be one of the most effective kinds of instruction. These teaching machines are now what we would call a computer. Our computer software teaching programs delivers immediate reinforcement for students. Utopia is an imagined place or state of things in which everything is perfect. It's an ideal on what a perfect society should be like. Utopia is an illusion used by evil people to subvert nations into communism. Communism is a political ideology which proposes a system which is believed to be an ideal system by a specific set of people. Communism was considered as an answer to the evils of capitalism so that a free and just society can be built. A communist society was meant to be created as a utopia. Walden 2 is written from the point of view of Professor Burris. Fraser graduated with Professor Burris during their doctorate degrees. Fraser is a proponent of behavioral engineering and creates a community called Walden 2, based somewhat on Thoreau's Walden. Professor Burris serves as a diplomat between Fraser and Professor Castle during the discussions regarding the utopian community. Mr. Castle is a professor of philosophy and gives the antithesis to Fraser's belief about the success of Walden 2. Rogers and Steve have recently returned from fighting in the war where they came across an article written by Fraser. Rogers was a student of Professor Burris and came to him to locate Fraser and find out if his community in the article is a reality. Rogers is engaged to Barbara, and both are from wealthy families. Steve is dating Mary, and both are from poor families. The visitors are given a tour of the community over several days. Fraser explains how the experimental community operates, and this is the topic of the book. The philosophical core of radical behavior is seen in Walden 2, and Skinner uses language to focus away from the concrete issues. Walden 2 advocates for a return to a simpler way of life. The members do some trading, but they attempt to live off of their labor and land. They try to adversely affect the environment at a minimal level. The society proposes a rejection of a purely materialistic way of life. The citizens of Walden 2 have abandoned all claims to owning property. Money is not a concern for any individual, but the community does make some profits and pays their taxes. There is a certain degree of conformity or control that is enforced by the code members must agree to live by. Fraser believed that regulation and control of human nature is necessary to achieve happiness and equality. Here in Walden 2, large groups are only necessary to boost one's ego. Therefore, they use only small groups. There is no group larger than 200 members, even for such things as concerts or plays. The community has various reading rooms, lounges, dining rooms, and only small groups are used so that members with a similar interest can be together. No member is required to spend time with anyone unless they desire to do so. The code and behavioral engineering control how members conduct themselves in Walden 2. The community is self-supporting. Members must complete 1,200 labor credit hours to continue to live in and use the services of Walden 2. Members are encouraged to complete 4 labor credit hours a day. Each job is given a point value. Most jobs do not require specific skills. The professors ask Fraser about members getting bored, but Fraser explains that there is always something going on in the community. Fraser talks about how much more productive the members in Walden 2 are compared to members of society outside of the community, because the members are well rested. He asks the professors how productive one actually is when they do not get adequate sleep. They usually work slower and become bored more easily. Women are required to wear skirts and have only certain ways to wear their hair. The men dress much more casual than the women. But men and women are supposed to be equal in Walden 2. The women are given lighter work jobs most of the time. They are not restricted in their training or work options, but have some protection from difficult manual labor. The family structure in Walden 2 is not as united as we have in most cultures. The children are raised by caretakers in a separate facility. The children do not live with their parents. The parents are not responsible for the children's care or moral development. Parents are allowed to work in the nursery or school, but no special attention can be given to their child. All children belong to the entire community. This gives the parents more freedom, and those who are unable to have children have a chance to love a child as their own. There are no educational standards that students must complete. Students are given freedom to study what is of interest to them. The teachers are merely guides, but they do share their experience when requested by a student. When students wish to go to a university, they must spend a great amount of time to prepare for the entrance exams. Most members do return to the community after receiving higher education degrees in order to give their knowledge to the community. We believe a society like Walden II is nearly impossible to be realized in relation to our society's high emphasis on the value of owning material things. The citizens are expected to share everything, including their children. There is a literal sense of community property. No educational standards are placed on the students. The students in Walden II are encouraged to only study what interests them. Each student is less likely to receive a liberal education in Walden II than in society outside of the community. Family ties don't seem important in the community. It seems that children do not create a bond with their parents since they are raised by caretakers and can receive no special attention from their family members. The code prohibits members from having emotions such as jealousy. Through persuasion and example, members are conditioned to be happy with their lot in life. Some members give more to the community than others, such as the planners and managers. But there is no recognition for one's achievement or hard work according to the code. We believe that a control issue would arise at some point in the development of the community, because the planners decide which behaviors are good and promoted through the code. The code changes from time to time to allow for different behaviors to be promoted for the community, and the community agrees to follow this code while they live in Walden II. We believe that a society like Walden II is not practical in the real world. We feel that this community does not allow members to feel pain or sorrow, which are necessary for character building. Members are persuaded through behavioral engineering to become what the planners desire them to be. The psychologists serve as guidance counselors to the members. They direct members when deciding on a spouse or career, and when one is not happy with their life, they must talk to the psychologist. Fraser compares himself to Jesus. He feels that he is a better God because he has not had to use a natural disaster to wipe out his community and start over. He believes that the community in Walden II is more successful than society at large. Fraser also believes that human nature can be predicted, therefore controlled by behavioral engineering. To him, the only way to achieve happiness and equality is through regulation and control of behavior. We feel there are more negatives of Walden II than positives, and it is not easily capable of being realized in society. In conclusion, we would like to share our references and hope that this has been an informational video. Thank you.